Hi and welcome to the Roast Recap, the episode where we look back at all the week's news. A week that began with Jacqui Lambie coming down hard on Muslim extremists and ended with US bombs, well, doing pretty much the same thing actually. There was also the UN Climate Summit in New York this week and our very own Mark Humphries was there. By which I mean he was just over there a little bit to my right.
The UN Climate Summit is taking place in New York today, where more than 120 heads of state and government have convened for what the UN is describing as the largest gathering seeking to tackle climate change in history. Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has told leaders to bring bold announcements and actions that will reduce emissions. All right, this is our chance. A world stage. What can Tony Abbott bring?
Mr. Abbott will not be attending.
Why the not?
My first duty, in a sense, is to the Australian Parliament.
Right, so you're just going to spend this week in Australia?
Australia's Prime Minister Tony Abbott will be in New York.
So he's going to be in New York this week, but he's not going to the summit. What, has he committed to a Sex and the City walking tour?
But he'll arrive one day after those other world leaders for a Security Council meeting.
1 day late for the climate change summit. Really, Tony? You couldn't have ducked out of Parliament a little early? You've done it before.
Tony Abbott and two other opposition MPs dashed for the door.
It's a shame he can't make it because he's got so many ideas about climate change he could bring to the table. First of all, we've got a tax on carbon to encourage businesses to reduce their use of fossil fuels.
Tony Abbott scraps Australia's carbon tax.
Sure, but we still have the Climate Commission, which was set up to provide public information on the effects of and potential solutions to climate change.
Abbott shuts down Climate Commission.
Okay, but what about the 1 million solar roofs program? That was an election promise. If I know one thing about this government, it's that they keep their election promises.
Government dumps election promise for million solar roofs.
Wow, next you'll tell me the government wants to ban the sale of these solar-powered fan hats. But there is one idea to save the environment the government could take to the summit. Creating a green army of young people who will be paid less than the minimum wage to plant trees. Ban Ki-moon won't know what hit him. Now, while Abbott won't be at the summit to pitch that idea, to be fair, he isn't the only Prime Minister who'll be absent. India's Prime Minister also won't be attending.
The Environment Minister of India will be going.
That's interesting. We aren't sending our Environment Minister to the Climate Summit. Why aren't we sending our Environment Minister, Greg Hunt?
Greg Hunt uses Wikipedia research to dismiss links between climate change and bushfires.
Why didn't he just ask the Science Minister?
There is no Science Minister in Tony Abbott's new ministry.
So who are we sending to the Climate Summit?
Foreign Minister Julie Bishop will represent Australia.
Makes sense. I understand climate change is a foreign issue that won't affect us here in Australia. Just listen to Professor Will Steffen from the Climate Council.
If you look at some of our most vulnerable areas, and the Sydney region is one of those, you would say toward the end of the century that a 1 in 100-year flood is going to be happening every few days.
Looks like from now on, Sydney's City to Surf is just going to be surf. Of course, climate change isn't the top of Abbott's priorities. After all, he's told us he wants to be known as an infrastructure Prime Minister. I think the latest Climate Council report has something to say about that.
More than $200 billion of infrastructure is at risk if the worst-case scenario comes true.
Better make that an infrastructure underwater Prime Minister. In his defence, though, no one in Australia really cares about climate change anyway.
Melbourne Rally for Climate Change Action attracts 30,000 people.
Well, no one from Australia who's invited to the UN Climate Summit cares about climate change anyway. For the roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
Very one-sided report there. So now for balance. Climate change isn't real, it's just a conspiracy created by nerdy scientists who hate warm weather because it means they have to take their shirts off. Moving on, and Palm United Party Senator Jacqui Lambie went on Insiders, made some offensive comments about burqas, and then suggested she was going to stab Clive Palmer in the back. And all before 10 a.m. on a Sunday. Truly, she gets the job done. It's not a good job, but done it is all the same, and that means it's time for Australia's only overtly political cartoon, Lambie and the Brick.
It's time for the adventures of pup senators and friends. In the Senate and out of their depth. It's Lambie, Lambie and the Brick.
And Wang.
In Pup Power Play.
So, how is your relationship going with Parmosaurus?
Great question, Barry Cassowary. Palmy and I have a good relationship. It's all going according to my plan. Like a lamb to the slaughterhouse, I'll be cooking his lamb chops for... No, wait, I'm the lamb. Like a dinosaur to the slaughterhouse, I'll be cooking Palmosaurus chops for dinner.
You realise that all cameras on this show are recording. Camera 2 isn't your personal soliloquy camera.
Back to you, Barry. Nailed it.
Yes, again, this is all on television.
I'll be cooking Parmesaurus chops for dinner.
I saw what you said about me on TV.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're not leaving the house dressed like that.
Relax, Parmesaurus. I'm on your side. And like a python with a field mouse, I will squeeze the last breath from your political career.
I'm right here.
It's Lambie. Lambie.
And the Lambie gonna take over the party and then maybe the world. I know how to use a gun.
Soliloquy cameras. Actually, I think mine's broken.
The iron's in the fire. Soon I will... No. Still broken. Oh. Next up. Still broken. News also started to emerge of innocent Australians being caught up in a net of paranoia. And like beautiful dolphins in a fishing net full of trout, Alex and Seaton were caught up too.
Ah, what a beautiful day. Look at that cute guy taking photos. Taking a lot of photos. Geez, hasn't he seen a park before? Come to think of it, I haven't seen him in this park before. Maybe he's planning on bombing the place. Yup, he's definitely gonna bomb the place. Oh my god, he's coming over here. Hot bomb guy is going to sit right next to me. What the hell is the number for the terrorism hotline?
Yeah, Dog Park Weekly will love these snaps. Whoa, that woman sure is sweating a lot. Oh my god, she's Googling terrorism. She's gonna bomb the place.
Hello, police? I'd like to report a terrorist.
Now, Team Australia, while we all laughed at Seaton and Alex in the park, there is a serious lesson here. Before you dob another person into the authorities, try talking to that person first. You might just find out they're a lot more like you than you first thought. And look, we're not encouraging you to ignore that giant bag full of wires sitting in the middle of an airport terminal, but if someone is doodling the word terrorism on an airplane, they're probably not a terrorist mastermind. He's probably just a guy sitting next to a girl, asking her to comment on his cartoon about the police state we live in.
Oh, you're a photographer. I thought you were a terrorist.
I thought you were a terrorist because you look really nervous.
No, I'm just a chronic sweater.
Perhaps the worst terror we face is the extreme social awkwardness around strangers that leads to invasive body searches. From excessive vigilance to total lack of oversight. And the government is hoping to axe the regulator that oversees the $55 billion charity sector in Australia. But does keeping the charity watchdog make sense?
Yes, it does, Tom, because according to some obnoxious girl over there who loved my shirt, of the trustee companies in Australia, today they are almost all stock exchange listed, profit-driven financial service companies. I've seen Wolf of Wall Street, Tom. Sure, publicly floated companies start off nice enough, but soon greed takes over, and they'll be spending all that money on throwing dwarves at dartboards.
I don't want to be thrown at a dartboard again.
Then we can't stand by and let this happen, because as the ACNC has shown, apparently, if you're running an organisation and have just got buckets of money lying around, it takes superhuman control to not just try and steal it.
But surely if you had the impetus to set up a charity...
Hey there, buddy. You're looking a little light in the pocket. You know I'm filled with money.
No, Bucket. I'm talking with Tom about why stealing is wrong.
Oh, no one would notice if a little bit of the money was to disappear. And besides, if it wasn't for all your hard work, there wouldn't even be a charity. You deserve it.
But Bucket, we'll get caught. What about the watchdog?
Shh. That dog don't hunt no more, sweetie.
Well, maybe just a little taste.
Why it seems like such a crazy reason to get rid of the watchdog? Then again, we shouldn't be that surprised that the Liberal Party has less than positive feelings towards the idea of donations and transparency.
Another MP sidelined as ICAC claims 10th Liberal scalp.
Of course, that being said, maybe everyone else just could try to, I don't know, keep their f***ing hand out of the bucket! Nick notwithstanding, you really shouldn't steal from charities. In fact, you should do your part and support them, like I am by cold calling to get donations. You have a great night. Okay. Oh, hello, I am calling for donations to the... hello? Hello? Hang up. Okay. This could take a little while. Hi, I'm calling on behalf of the... Oh, okay. Well, sir, there is no need for that kind of language. Yeah, well, I will do that. This could take some time. Hello, would you like to donate to... Yeah, well, I've never seen your show either. I will have a good night.